Beau is Afraid is the newest Ari Aster movie to hit theaters. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. My friends and I were really looking forward to this one. Um, I feel like for a lot of people my age who are really into movies, Ari Aster is a pretty big deal. Um, you know, I have both of them. Where's each? Excuse me a moment here. There it is. So I have both Hereditary and Midsommar on what's it, vinyl on Blu-ray. I love both of these movies. He has had probably, especially with Hereditary, he's had a really, really big impact on horror over the last 5 or 6 years. He has really made a splash since his first movie. And say what you will about him as a person. I don't like. I've heard problematic things about him. I don't. I don't know. I don't have opinions on them. I just haven't like really looked into it that much. But him as a director, I think he is one of the best voices that we have currently in horror. It's like him, Ty West, Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele, especially Jordan Peele. You guys know that I love Jordan Peele. But like that crop that's coming up, like the anti-Blumhouse crowd, even though Jordan Peele worked for Blumhouse, you know what I mean. John Krasinski, you can throw him in there, kind of with them. It's just people that are making more forward-thinking horror movies and elevated horror, people who are behind that kind of stuff. He is definitely like a spearhead for that. So this movie was really anticipated by a lot of his fans and a lot of people in the film world, including myself. It intimidated me a lot because it was like a minute shy of 3 hours long. It was supposed to be like this big odyssey, and it really wasn't a horror movie. It was more of like a fantasy comedy, supposedly. It's supposed to be some sort of like absurdist comedy. And Beau is Afraid is definitely an interesting movie. So a part of me, I'm going to come out and say it. I loved this thing. I thought it was great. For the most part, I definitely had my fair share of issues with it, and I do think it's probably his weakest movie to date. But I ended up really, really enjoying my time with Beau is Afraid. But it's interesting, and everybody who walks into it is going to walk out with something else. I saw it with Cam and two of our other friends. My one friend and I both loved the movie. We thought it was great the entire time. We were like, yes, we're connecting here. We're loving this movie. And then my other friend and Cam, they both hated it, and were having a horrible time. So I kind of wish there were more movies like this that would come out that are so contentious and so like people either really love them or really hate them, and they spark this debate, and they get people talking, and like even talking in the movie theater, we were all whispering to each other trying to figure out what was happening on the screen, and just dissecting what it really was about and if we liked it or not. And I think there needs to be more movies like that. This movie, it definitely comes at a cost, and again, I will get to my flaws in a little bit, but I do think it really achieved something in getting people talking, and I think that's great. I really do think that's great. It's probably going to turn toxic, and after reading some of the reviews on Letterboxd, I'm already really cringing with some of the stuff people are saying, but still, I think with like getting discussion going amongst people is always great with movies, and I think this movie it will get people going. One, I want to commend Joaquin Phoenix. He did great in this movie. I mean, he's really good in every movie that he's in. So, there's that. Just kind of had to get that out of the way. All the other performances are really good, too. especially Nathan Lane, and then the lady who is Holly from The Office, and then Parker Posey was really good in this movie too. So, and the lady who played Beau's mom, I don't know, like the young actress and the old actress, I don't know either of their names. But they were all it was great all across the board. Um, Ari Aster as a director visually, I think is what sets him apart from everybody else, other than his willingness to deep, like dive deep, delve in, same thing, into really icky and really uncomfortable themes and uncomfortable moments, and really going through the throat with how he's feeling about guilt and like generational guilt, and like mom issues, and mother-son relationships and all that kind of stuff. He really goes for the throat with these kinds of with his movies, and this movie really goes through the throat. So yeah, it goes there a lot of this movie, and most of the time I think it really hits. I like that it feels like one long nightmare. I really thought that was really clever writing. I think that the visuals and the writing matched really well together, and in creating this like really long, stressful anxiety trip. And I don't know. I really did enjoy that this movie uh, kept you on the edge of your seat and kept you feeling tense the entire time, and put you in uncomfortable situation after uncomfortable situation. And after I kind of like let go a little bit, and was just more of letting the movie do its thing, and kind of accepting that this is supposed to be a nightmare and this is supposed to be very nonsensical, I was having a ton of fun, and I was really enjoying what I was getting. There was a point in the movie where I'm like, this is probably my favorite movie of the year. I am absolutely loving this. Ari Aster is hitting every note here. The specific sequence with the play was phenomenal. I don't know, and just visually, this movie was great. Like, the direction and the cinematography were really on par, especially the set design. And there was some really creative stuff that they did, and I hope they don't skip over those guys for come like Oscar season, which they probably will. But excuse me. I my main issue with the movie is the last like 30 to 20 minutes. The ending of this movie really left me feeling cold. It really left me, because up to that point I was buying into everything that he was selling us. I was like, yes, like I get it. I really see the vision here. I'm loving it. I'm on board. And then the last 30 minutes or so were just too much. Like they really went overkill with a certain reveal of regarding to Beau's father. It is too much. It is just too much. It's even outside the realm of believability inside this movie. And I know it's supposed to be a nightmare. I know it's supposed to be this like anything could happen kind of movie, but that I felt like there was a moment specifically, and if those of you who have seen the movie will know what I'm talking about. It went too far. Like, it was like, okay, that's kind of distasteful. It's kind of gross, and not in a cool way. It's just, and if they reworked it to be not that, it's really hard not to talk about this without spoiling it. But if they reworked it to not be that specifically, and to be kind of the same thing, but just not what it is specifically, it would have been so much better. But whatever. It really irked me with how pretentious and kind of like, oh, okay, really, that's what that was. Ugh. And then the final sequence was fine. It was definitely really overwhelming in a sensory way, but I don't know. I don't know if I absolutely loved the ending to this thing. And that's what makes this movie not be my favorite movie of the year, because I was absolutely loving most of this. Like, a good like 3/4 of this movie is phenomenal, and then the last quarter is like, So that kind of leaves me in a weird state when thinking about this movie. It's definitely very interesting. I definitely really loved it. Um, and despite my issues with it, and despite really not liking the ending, I can say that it's definitely worth checking out at least once. Like everybody should experience this movie at least once, and talk loudly about their opinions about it. Because I don't know, I just really would like to hear what other people are thinking about Beau is Afraid. So I'm going to give it a light A minus. I think is right for right now. I even thought about just not even grading it because of how all over the place my opinions are on this thing. But I feel like this was kind of not therapeutic, but like cathartic to uh, finally talk about this movie and then get my opinions out of my head, so I can um, let this movie go a little bit because it's very draining emotionally and physically, I guess. So yeah, that's my review for Beau is Afraid. Please, in the comments, let me know, especially with this movie, let me know what you guys are thinking about it. Tell me if you hated it and think I'm an idiot for loving it, or if you're on my side, or if you loved it even more than I did. Please let me know in the comments. And other than that, I will see you guys with the next review.